Saddle Rash. Let's talk about Saddle Rash. So this was the first of two Lauren Bouchard Adult Swim pilots. The first being this, obviously, and the second being Lucy, Daughter of the Devil. Lauren Bouchard also helped create Home Movies, which was obviously a hit for early Adult Swim. So it makes sense that they would want to make another show with Lauren Bouchard. This is not really like Home Movies and not like the usual Lauren Bouchard style, which Lucy, Daughter of the Devil more is. This is a Western show. I'm not exactly 100% sure how this would work as a show. It more works as an isolated sort of short film about a armless cowboy who's going to come to town, voiced by Sam Cedar, and take out this outlaw called Tommy Morgan, voiced by H. John Benjamin. It plays very much like a Western, but it's like a little funny, but it more plays like a Western. And the character designs sort of look like bowling pins, which it's made in Flash, but the design you could say is sort of similar to Lucy, Daughter of the Devil. It is interesting. So this, I don't think was done in Squiggle Vision, although it is made in Flash like it. I know that Lucy, Daughter of the Devil is the first kind of that whole group of Lauren Bouchard and all those separate from Squiggle Vision. I didn't see anything in the credits that this was part of Tom Snyder or Squiggle Vision, but it does feel like separate from that whole group, but it did go on before like all of them sort of stopped doing stuff with them. I don't think there's a reason. I'd never found out what the reason was or anything. But this does play in a weird way because it does play so much as just a straight up Western, just with one of the gunslingers having no arms, and then he sort of uses like his feet and uses his tongue to shoot stuff and stuff. It's very odd. But the other, like the henchmen, are voiced by Mitch Hedberg, believe it or not, and Todd Barry, which is an insane voice cast in this. And Sarah Silverman actually plays the gunslingers, the armless gunslingers' girlfriend, and Waylon Jennings is in this. And there's also two buffalo dressed up as people, which is kind of a funny gag. I think this is fun. It was a fun watch. I think it works as a short. I have no idea how this works as a show, and I just do not get how it would be a show more than just this thing is. It didn't like have a show hook. Honestly, the only real reason I'm even talking about this and taking the time to do it, other than because I just reviewed Lucy, Daughter of the Devil, it's because actually at one of the MomoCons I went to, JaxBlade went on this huge thing about how none of us remembered Saddle Rash, and none of us knew what the fuck he was talking about, and how he's the #1 Saddle Rash fan. I have no clue if this made it in one of the MomoCon videos. I think there's footage of it shot. I forget if it made it in. Someone please confirm with me if that made it in or something. But he is a major Saddle. We kept joking that next MomoCon he was going to show up and have a panel and confirm that the new season of Saddle Rash had been picked up and stuff. So he is, I am outing him now. Okay, maybe this wasn't the video. I'm extremely outing him for his Saddle Rash fandom. He is a Saddle Rash fan. I don't necessarily get it watching this, but it is sort of like this whole mythology. Yeah, he built this up, and like literally everyone from like Saber to Paleo to the pizza party was like, what are you talking about? Like, we had to Google it, I think. Like, no one remembered Saddle Rash as well as JaxBlade. So JaxBlade, #1 Saddle Rash fan. Anyway, I think that did air on Adult Swim. I'm not 100% on this, but I do know the rip I found on YouTube did have a thing that said adultswim.com, so I think it was available at least on their website. I do think this is a fun, weird, like, I think Lauren Bouchard's Adult Swim development phase was like this weird sort of like, well, I want to do different things from, or this is the vibe I get. Lauren Bouchard's Adult Swim stuff has this weird thing where it's like he did the stuff like, you know, Dr. Katz he worked on and Home Movies, and he did stuff with the Squiggle Vision, all them, and then these things like Saddle Rash and Lucy, Daughter of the Devil are not like that at all, and then not like what happened to him after Adult Swim with Bob's Burgers and Central Park and The Great North. Like, that feels very different and more akin to his earlier stuff. So this is like this weird period, and this show feels like almost like if I didn't know Lauren Bouchard was involved, I wouldn't I wouldn't know he was involved. Like, there's no, the auteurism of who Lauren Bouchard is not involved in this, which is super weird. Like, other than the voice cast, which I think one of the real highlights of this is that it has like Mitch Hedberg, especially H. John Benjamin and Sam Cedar playing very against type, having these weird things. But the narrator kind of just being like this weird old guy, which was mentioned in the chat, I think is was an interesting choice. It doesn't the only reason this sticks out to me is because of JaxBlade. I think it's because of him. This stands out. I probably would have never reviewed this. It's such an obscure early Adult Swim pilot. I think it uses Flash for the time pretty decently, and uses voice cast to make this kind of weird Western about, armless gunslinger going against the person who took his arms and trying to shoot them without any arms and kicking people and using his tongue and stuff. It's very strange. I don't know if it really should age well. I don't know. It's a very bizarre, like, this was 2002 and they could get these certain people and stuff, but I think it is worth a watch. But it is just sort of this weird kind of like early Adult Swim sort of pilot. I mean, it's 2002 when they made this. It just feels like before they really knew what Adult Swim was, and it felt like Lauren Bouchard's like first solo without anyone else thing. I don't think it really pops. It sort of doesn't fully work as a Western. It's sort of just like this weird, like, let's make a strange cartoon thing. I think it, you're like, oh, that was kind of cool, is basically the thing. But I think it falls into like this interesting, weird side tangent in I guess filmography, TVography of Lauren Bouchard. But you kind of don't leave it going like, oh, I wish that had been a show. I wish that had been more. I'm sort of like, this was an interesting, odd short film. I'm not sure what you were thinking with this, but I'm glad you got out whatever you're doing. And I like hearing the voice cast, but I don't think it really needed to be any more, even if JaxBlade demands it to be so.